Let's now take a look at formatting that type and turning it into a style that can be reused elsewhere in our document. So I'm just going to close the layers panel down here and zoom up a little bit closer on the type. In fact, let's go in close on that first paragraph, because what we're going to do is style this type and then apply it to the rest of it using a paragraph style. So we'll double click on the type to access the type area itself and just click and drag, and let's highlight our first paragraph here, okay? And let's press Command T or Control T on the PC to bring up that character palette we saw a second ago, and make sure, first off, that we do use optical kerning, okay? Just best to be on the safe side. And then we'll come in here and change the typeface, and we'll use another one here that comes with the Illustrator program. We'll go up to Minion Pro, and we'll go down and choose Regular, okay? Nice serif typeface. What we'll also do is drop the type size down. Let's maybe nudge this down fairly small, maybe about 7, somewhere between 7 and 8. And then we'll also increase the line spacing. Let's push that up to 9. So it's 7 on 9. That's the typographic term. If you hear the term 7 on 9, 7-point type, 9-point leading. So we have our optical kerning here. That looks great. Another thing I want to point out, if you have type like this that contains quotation marks and that sort of thing, there's a function called hanging punctuation, which is very, very nice in a typographic design, which basically forces the punctuation to hang off the side of the text frame, so you don't get this sort of weird indent. If I look at this from a design point of view, to me it looks like this letter has actually been forced in, that the eye really doesn't even notice the fact that the quotation mark is there. So hanging punctuation will actually force this to go over the side and realign the A over to the left, and it just makes everything look so much more professional and accurate. So again, I'm just going to double click, highlight this paragraph. Over here in the paragraph panel, which is attached to the character one, we can go to the flyout menu on the side and choose Roman hanging punctuation. There's the difference, all right? You see that nudged out on the outside? Again, if I deselect that, you can see just the visual aspect of that changes the way that the design looks. It's much more aligned, and there's something about quotation marks that hang off the edge as a design feature. I absolutely love using this. So we've styled our first paragraph, essentially, okay? So what I'm going to do is double click and go back into it and once again highlight it. We now want to reuse the styling that's been applied there and apply it to everything else, okay? And for that, we're going to use a paragraph style. So we need to access the paragraph styles panel. So let's go to the window menu, come all the way down towards the bottom so we can find our type submenu again, all right? And then a little bit further down underneath paragraph, you will see paragraph styles. So we pull this up and see, basically we have a default of normal paragraph style, which is what we're looking at here. We've now made changes to it to form this style. It hasn't been saved as one yet, but it tells us that it was normal paragraph style, and the small plus here tells us that changes have been made, all right? So it's a way that you can tell if some type is in a format or not. Well, this isn't. This needs to now be saved as a new style and applied. So we can very easily hold down your Option key or your Alt key, which, as you know from now on, always brings up a dialog box pretty much when you click something such as one of these page icons in a palette. So we'll click on that, which brings up the paragraph style options. And we'll name this type very simply body type. Now under here it does tell us the basic character formats. We've got the font, we've got the size and the leading and optical kerning. All right, anything else you want to change in here you can, and in future you can come back in here and go into each of these settings and add to the style sheet and have it update automatically. But for now, all we're doing is generating our new style. If we go ahead and say OK now, we can still see that this type needs to be applied or has to have that style applied to it. So let's come down here, hold down our Option key. This is important because we want to strip out any of the custom formatting we've done and make sure only body type is applied. Okay, so it's just that one single Option key. Now to apply it to everything else, as you can probably imagine, Command A or Control A to select all. Let's do the same thing. Just hold down that Option key and click on the name, and you'll see that the formatting has now applied across the entire block of type. In fact, if I just zoom out here and drop down, we can see that looks really very, very nice, okay? So the type has been formatted. We've got everything the right size and everything else. What we might do just for design's sake is maybe make our first quotation here bold. I mean, it's the opening to the article. So let's go ahead, double click to access it, select it, come up here to the control panel, or as always over here in the character panel, and we can choose regular, drop down, and maybe choose bold. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, we'll go back to our main selection tool, and seeing as we've made some very strong changes here, I would definitely recommend that we save this before we continue.